Hi guys, it's Chris with City Girl Homestead. Time for Thankful Thursday. So we will be reading again out of my He Whispers Your Name. And I have one from earlier this week that I want to read too. Because sometimes something just hits you and you're like, okay, I got to do that one too. So let's, first of all, thank everybody for coming in. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here for a while, I appreciate it. If you can please like, share, and subscribe, I'd truly appreciate that too. But let's start out in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for each and every person that comes in, stops by, stays, whatever. I ask that you bless them and that you continue to hold them in your arms and to help them. I ask that you please protect our entire world as there's so much chaos. There's people that need help financially and mentally, physically, emotionally, everything that it's testing them to the limits. And I ask that you please hold their hands and lift them up and show them that there is a way to not live in fear and to know that you're going to guide them and you're going to get us through it. I know through you all things are possible. All we have to do is ask. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. So, the one for today is called Weary in the Worry. It may seem that you endure more than you ever thought you could. And I didn't read this verse, so I guess the prayer fits, huh? It may seem that you endure more than you ever thought you could or should. Know that I am at work within you through your suffering. I am developing perseverance in you, in order that you might run with endurance to finish the race set before you. This life is not a sprint, but a marathon. I know what troubles seem endless, but they are not. I will always provide times of rest and renewal for your soul. And do you ever get that where you're like just so stressed out, you're just like, I just need to take a nap and just distance myself from this world. That was like, the only time during COVID that was whatever is like if you could go take a nap just to escape it all. Because we were closed down all the time here in Michigan, and it just, it killed the mind, it killed your soul, it killed everything. It was just, and you just wanted to escape sometimes. And sometimes that's what we need, and we need to just, regenerate. Though it seems like your problems are insurmountable, like a mountain you're climbing with no summit in sight, I'm steadily leading you to the top, preparing you for, for a revelation of my presence and power that will leave you in awe. There is no need to become weary and discouraged. I am with you and will help you, giving you all the strength and grace you need. And I think that mountain, the summit thing, is a really good example, because sometimes, like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to get a job or you're paying off bills or you're doing this, you're doing that, whatever. And sometimes I call it the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it's just like flickering so low you can barely see it. Like, I'm never going to make it there. But something happens, and then all of a sudden it becomes a glow. So I guess the summit, like what they're talking. Because sometimes just that little flicker, like when you're starting a fire, and it looks like it's going to go out, and you're like, I got to add some more something to it. And all of a sudden it just goes, poof, and there it is. Don't give in to self-pity. Trust in my sovereignty. Know that everything is in my control. What you're facing is not by mistake. It is divinity, orchestrated, preparing you to have a more precious view of the blessings to come. Eagerly await me. Know that I love you, and with an everlasting love, I draw you with the loving kindness, and sometimes it is through trials and troubles. Don't lose heart. Just be embraced by mine. You know, my dad called them trials and tribulations, and he said that the closer you get, the more tribulations that you get, the more trials and everything. But, you know, I think that that is right. When you're following something, and like, I remember before meeting Tom, you know, I had dated one guy for 3 years, and I mean, I dated here and there, but, you know, serious with only a couple of them, and I knew the one wasn't going to be forever. And that song, God Bless the Broken Roads, I thought for sure that was about him. But I knew in my heart it wasn't, and everything. The next guy I was with for a year, and he's actually the first person that got me thinking about marriage or anything, because I swore I was never going to do that again. And, you know, then after him and I breaking up, I met Tom. And then I knew what that song was for. I knew it was for him. You know, we go through so many things, and there's bumps in the road, and those bumps, craters, whatever it happens to be that you go through, makes you so prepared for what's to come. Whether it's good or bad, and in my case it was good, you know, we don't know, but we have to go through every one of those bumps and bruises. It's like with your children or grandchildren, and, you know, since I'm a mom and a grandma, you know, and the kids would get hurt or whatever, and, you know, you give them a mom kiss, and it seems like everything healed. So my grandkids actually come to me when they get bumps and bruises or a little cut or anything like that, and they want grandma to kiss it. So it must be grandma kisses work too. Who knows what it takes to fix things as you're going along. But think about how less strong you would be if you never went through anything. If we always had the amount of money we needed, and the right people in our lives, and this and that, and perfect neighborhood, and perfect this, perfect that, you know, your smile was always great, and your hair was perfect, and then you hit a brick wall, you would crumble, because you never had to do it before. You never had to build your strength, your courage, your endurance. So even if the world is throwing some, you know, nasty curveballs at you right now, catch them and throw it back. Know that you and God, you've got this, and you're going to get through it. It may not feel like it, and sometimes I doubt it, but we'll get through it. Hebrews 12:3. Consider him who has endured such hostility by sinners against himself, that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Yeah, I think that kind of means just don't let it make you cold. You know, that's so funny. The other one that I was looking at was winning over worry, but it's not the one I was going to read. But anyway, don't let all that turn you cold. Don't let it all, you know, heartbreaks or letdowns or, you know, job loss or bills behind or whatever it is. Don't let it turn you cold. Know that through the grace of God, you're going to get through it all, and it'll be fine. You just got to get through there. And just remember to stay who you are. You know, my son, I was talking to him this morning after I dropped AJ and Emmy off, and he's trying to help a neighbor out, and I said that I would help too. And, you know, he's an atheist, but he knows what Christian values are. And he actually said something about, you know, my mom was kind of abandoned, and she was a single mom, and, you know, she had to get through it by herself a lot. And that's one reason he doesn't want to see her have to go through that. You know, I was so proud of my son, because even if you don't believe in God, doesn't mean you can't be a good person. Doesn't mean that you can't, just be a good person. I was really proud of him talking to him this morning. By the way, I don't think I really mentioned about AJ's reading, but the teacher, I don't know if she pays for it or who does it, but all their writings through the whole entire year, and then a few drawings and stuff like that, she actually puts in a hardcover book for them. And so when we went to Schiller's, the bookstore, they have a room there, and they had a chairs and stuff in there. I think AJ was like the second or third to go up. And, he's kind of usually a little bit shy. He wasn't on my last video either, which I was surprised with. But he went up there, she adjusted the mic, and he stood up tall, and he spoke clearly, and he read perfectly. And I was so proud of him. Afterwards, I told him, I said, I'm so proud of you, baby. And then today I told him, I said, AJ, I said, you did such a great job. And he goes, yeah. And I said, yeah. I said, you stood tall and you were confident. And, you spoke clearly, and, you spoke at the right, like you didn't scream or anything like that. I was so, so proud of him. So, yeah, he did really good. So if I didn't say anything earlier about it, he did great. And I feel honored that, we can be involved in our grandkids' life and go to things like that, because I'll tell you guys, and I'm going to try not to get teary, but I did at the thing. So Emmy didn't want to sit still, and he laid on me for a bit, and he did all right. And then he went to Grandpa and laid okay for a little bit, and then Mama took him. Mama set him next to her on a chair, and I hadn't heard anything from him for a couple seconds, and I looked over and he was asleep. I said, Courtney, he's asleep. Well, she held him, and her arms got all sweaty. Us parents know how that goes. And so she handed him to Bobby to hold. And I happened to look down there. Nobody else was looking over there, where they were looking up at the other kids. And my son went down and he kissed him. And at the end, my son was holding him, and they were getting up and we were walking out. And I said to him, I said, you made your mom tear up tonight. And he said, yeah, why? And I said, my baby holding his baby. That is so strong. And when I seen him and Emmy wasn't awake, he just bent down and gave him a little kiss. I was like, I used to do that all the time with them. And so must be he's doing that with his babies too. So, that's how love is shown, and it passes on. So don't forget that. If you get a chance to love up on your kids, your grandkids, anything like that, do it, because they will carry it, obviously, with them for the rest of their lives too. Anyways, geez, oh Pete, teary the last couple weeks, I tell ya. So the other one was on May 18th, which happens to be, it would have been my grandpa's 126th birthday. And him and my grandma would have been married 86 years that day too. He was a smart man, got married on his birthday, so he'd never forget. But this one kind of hit too. It's called Conquering Worry with Faith. Too often your worries fuel your fears, and your faith loses its foundation. In order to experience my blessings, you're going to need to be willing to feel the fear and let go of your worries. If you continually give into fear, allowing it to paralyze your faith, you'll never experience my very best in your life. Don't allow your worries to run your life. Just me. Oh, trust me too. Sorry. The tears are making it harder to read. It's easy to allow your worries to dominate your thoughts. They creep in unexpectedly, and it's difficult to get them under control. You must remember to take every thought captive. Consider that your thinking and ask yourself if they are thoughts that I would be thinking. Do your thoughts line up with my word? If you constantly give in to your worries, you'll be filled with desperation. Retake. You'll be filled with depression, despair, and disappointment. Faith brings you fulfillment, giving you my joy and peace to overcome your worries. If you're overwhelmed by seemingly insurmountable obstacles, make the decision to conquer your worries first with your faith, and then live confidently without fear. I am with you in everything, so step out in faith, and your fears will disappear. Genesis 21:22. God is with you in everything you do. And that one, we talk about that, don't live in fear. And that one really hit me the other day. Maybe it was because it was my grandpa's birthday. I don't know. But, sometimes we just let fear get the best of us. And, like, I have a shirt for Tom, and I think I have one too. Faith over fear and things like that. I think that, and I'm guilty too of it, because I'll be like, how are we going to pay that? How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do that? And whatever. Like, stop. Like I taught Emmy, stop. Every time we do that, stop. And just put all that fear into faith. It's not easy. I try every day to get closer to God, and I fail every day. Every day. And like I always say, I hope he's a patient man. But we have to start putting, do you remember that one book? What was it? The Secret or something? And if you keep putting something out there, it'll change for the good. But it could be the same way with the bad. So if we keep projecting fear over and over and over again, what do you think we're going to get? Is keep getting stuff that, makes us fearful. But if we keep putting faith out there and belief and trust, what do you think we're going to get back? I know in this lifetime, I'm not a victim, but I had a pretty rough childhood. And then, well, my whole life, kind of, there's been things here and there. But if I let that past dictate now and in the future, it would be a miserable life. There'd be no overcoming it. You have to believe that you go through all of that stuff for a reason. It makes who you are today who you are. And every good or bad thing teaches you to be you. You don't have to be the same person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago. Like my grandpa used to always tell us, if you don't learn something new every day, you're not succeeding in life, whatever. He says, even if it's just the littlest of things. And I think it comes the same way. So that person that you were 10 years ago, you've grown and you've matured and you've aged, unfortunately. But the things that you've learned has made you into a different person. Like, I have more patience for my grandchildren than I did for my children. Probably because I don't have to punish my grandkids. I always remember, they're your grandkids, not your children. So, But I got more patience for them. And now it's because I think I can take more time. I didn't have that time when my kids were growing up. And it's sad because I had to miss a lot of things. I didn't miss things that were super important like that. I didn't. Even if I risked losing my job, I wouldn't miss something really, really important, because my kids weren't asked to be here. I asked for them to be here, and that's important. So I always did try to make them feel like they were important, and sometimes I bet I failed. But like I told my kids, you guys didn't come with an instruction manual. And the one person that wrote a book on children and how you're supposed to take care of them never had any of his own. I don't trust that. You want people to tell you how to raise kids, do your marriage and whatever, but they've never been married, they never had kids. You're reading from a book. But, we have a book. It's called the Bible, and we can follow it, and it'll get us through a lot of things. If you're having troubles today, ask for prayers below. Don't be afraid to ask. One of us, all of us will pray for you. Because there's a lot of people that read the comments. So, if you need prayers, put it down there. Someone will pray for you. I don't have a lot of people watching it every week, but if it touches just one person, I guess I've accomplished something. So views are way down anyway right now, and I'm not the only one talking about it. I went from having 400 views for a couple weeks down to less than 200. I mean, I don't know what's going on. And I know a lot of other people, even my grandson watches Mr. Beast once in a while. He's lost thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, so much for that one. But anyway, so today, I know I've rambled on a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. Well, not really, but anyways. Sherry will get after me for saying sorry. But I do want to thank you guys. I do appreciate you. I love you, and I care about you, and I want all of us to be successful. And, I pray for my children and grandchildren every night that they're happy, healthy, and prosperous. And I pray the same for you, all of you. I mean, what more can we do? So, again, thank you. Thanks for sticking with me. I love you guys very much. And I will see you tonight at supper. You guys have a blessed day. Be a blessing.